Chapter 6. Meeting in Castleno. I parked the car in a narrow road behind the main street of Castleno. Hyde had hired the car at Toulouse Airport, and the hire papers, in the name of Baumann, were under the seat. I had a quick look at the papers. Hyde had given an address in Schleswig-Holstein, Germany. There was also a telephone number. It might be worth trying later. I got out and looked in the boot of the car. There was a small suitcase. It contained women's clothes. Poor Nina would have to do without clean clothes today. I locked the car and threw the keys into some bushes. If they found the car, they would have to break into it. Castleno is a red brick village with a big red brick church, only 20 minutes from Toulouse. It was just small enough to make sure that we wouldn't miss each other, and just large enough for the meeting to attract no attention. I checked the time, 9:15. I had arrived early to check the meeting place, just in case Annie's phone had been tapped and they knew about our meeting. I ordered a coffee in a bar just across the road from the small supermarket. The man served me without speaking. He was a silent man, with a cigarette hanging from his bottom lip. He spent his time rearranging the dirt on the bar counter with what looked like some of his wife's old underwear. I wondered uneasily what the man had used to filter the coffee. There was nothing unusual across the road. One or two old ladies entered and left the store, but no one was waiting around. At 9:25, Annie appeared, driving her old car, just as I remembered it. I paid for the coffee, leaving it still undrunk on the counter, ran across the road and got in quickly. Just drive towards Toulouse. We'll talk in a minute. The rush hour traffic was getting lighter now, so we were soon approaching the ring road round the city. "How much time do you have?" I asked.
"I'm not working at the moment, so I'm free for the rest of the week. I need to be back by Friday, though. I've got to take Lucien to see his mother in hospital. You never said, but I guessed you might need the car for some time."
"Lucien? Oh yes, the one I met last time. The one with purple hair." I smiled. "Are you two still together then?"
"Dad, you know that I don't allow questions like that. I live my life the way I want, okay?"
All right, Annie, forget I asked."
"Okay, just don't do it again, all right? Now, where are we going?"
She bit her lip nervously, and suddenly I remembered her as a little girl again. It was something she used to do whenever she was really unhappy or worried about something. I decided it was better not to ask any more questions. "Can you take the motorway to Barcelona? We can be there by this afternoon. You can stay overnight and come back tomorrow morning. Have you got your passport?"
"Yes, Dad, and my overnight bag. Remember what you taught me? Be prepared."
"You certainly prepared me to look after myself." She smiled a bitter smile. Okay, I know. I was a terrible father. Please don't remind me."
"Dad, you weren't a terrible father. Just a bit unusual, let's say. But I've had a really bad time dealing with your secrecy. All those times you arrived in the middle of the night and then just disappeared again. All those strange phone calls. I wish you could try to trust me a bit more."
"I'm sorry, Annie, but it's too dangerous for you if I tell you everything."
"Well, can't you explain what happened last night, at least?"
She reached for a cigarette and lit it with one hand. With the other hand, she guided the car at 100 kilometers per hour around the ring road, moving in and out of the morning traffic. "Slow down a bit, Annie. You're making me nervous with your driving. I don't want to get killed now after all I've been through." And I don't want to die of cancer from your cigarette smoke either.
Mind your own business, Dad. If you ride in my car, you have to put up with the driver's habits. If you don't like them, you know what you can do, okay?
Chapter 7. Journey to Barcelona. All right, I'll tell you what I can, what it's safe for you to know, okay? She nodded.
That should help pass the time. And maybe it'll take your mind off my driving.
Okay. 5 years ago, I was involved in a special operation in Central America. The Americans, the CIA, wanted someone to do their dirty work for them, so they called MI6 in London. One of our MI6 directors saw his chance for promotion, so he dreamed up this plan. The president of this Central American country was someone the Americans had supported. He was very anti-terrorist and pro-capitalism, but he was also heavily involved in the drug business. The Americans looked the other way for years, but he started getting too greedy. He was becoming an embarrassment to the US government. Newspaper and television journalists back in Washington were starting to ask awkward questions, so the CIA decided to get rid of him. But, and here's the complication, as ever, there was a revolutionary group that opposed the president and his government. If anything happened to the president, they would have taken control, and the CIA didn't want this to happen. So 4 of us from MI6 were supposed to go in and give the revolutionaries support and training to take out the dictator. Then we would leave and hand over everything we knew about them to the CIA. After that, the CIA would knock out the revolutionaries too. They would then arrange for democratic elections and bring back an old-style politician to lead the new government. Win-win for the CIA, lots of praise for MI6, promotion for the director in London. Do you follow me?
Yes, but why couldn't the CIA do it themselves?
The political situation was too sensitive. If anyone had found out, there would have been big trouble back home. Embarrassing questions in the House of Representatives, articles in the newspapers, all that kind of thing. And the new US president was concerned about the activities of the CIA at the time. It was easier to get us to do it.
So you went?
Right, 4 of us. Our cover was that we were a group of independent soldiers or mercenaries. The revolutionaries were told that we were paid by an anti-capitalist organization in Europe. We knew that if they ever found out the truth, we would be on our own. London would deny that we had anything to do with them. Washington would pretend they knew nothing. Everyone would turn their backs on us and look the other way.
It sounds a bit risky to me. Why did you agree to do it?
You're right there, I said. I should have smelt trouble before we even began.
So there was trouble?
Oh yes, plenty of trouble, I went on. Everything went fine to begin with. We landed by boat at night. The revolutionaries met us and we went with them. Then we spent 3 months in their camps, training them in weapons and explosives. We nearly got to the president too. One of our team was a very attractive woman, and he loved attractive women. She was supposed to poison him during a performance at the opera, but that was when things started to go badly wrong.
What happened?
Someone obviously knew about our plan, and we were stopped on the way to the opera house. Luckily, we were able to kill the soldiers who stopped us. We had a plan for this kind of emergency. We had all agreed to escape back into the jungle and meet up at a village called Bambacocha, near the Chichiguarani Falls. But government commanders were waiting for us. They caught one of us, our leader, and shot him. The other 3 of us got away. We spent a month hiding in the jungle. Eventually, we got to the coast and found a boat to escape to Honduras. The British High Commissioner was very surprised to see us.
Then what happened?
When we got back to London, it was obvious that we were an embarrassment to MI6. They kept us locked up in a big country house in Oxfordshire for what they called debriefing. We were all questioned about what had happened. They were especially interested in what we had found out about the drug business in San Cristobal. I think they couldn't decide what to do with us. It would have been better for them if we had all died. Then there would have been no problem. So they decided to make us disappear instead.
What do you mean?
They gave us new identities, new names, new passports, everything. We all got a generous amount of money to live on, and they sent us to different safe places to live for the rest of our lives. But we all had to sign up to special conditions. We had to agree never to contact each other again. No phone calls, postcards, nothing. We were told never to contact MI6 again, and never to tell anyone who we really were or what we'd done, especially the press. In a way, our new identity was a kind of prison. Anyway, I don't know where the others went. I kept my promise. I never tried to contact either of them. And I kept my mouth shut about what we'd done. This is the first time I have told anyone anything about that operation.
So, why are you here now, Dad? Why are we going to Barcelona?
Well, everything went well for 5 years, till yesterday. Then 2 of my old team suddenly turned up and tried to murder me.
Murder you? But why would they want to do that?
That's just what I've been wondering myself. In fact, it's made me wonder about a lot of things. I wonder if they intended us all to die in Bambacocha. Perhaps they wanted us to be killed. We had failed to kill the dictator, but we knew far too much.
You mean they would kill their own people?
Yes, of course. These people have no principles at all. It's all about power, politics, and money, of course.
But that doesn't explain why your old team came to kill you, does it? I mean, why were they trying to get rid of you? Anyway, what happened exactly?
Well, I was lucky. I'm still here. The part of my ear isn't, as you can see. One of them wasn't so lucky, and I've no idea what the other one, the woman, is doing now. But I need to find out, and I'll have to go to London for that.
So, why are we going to Barcelona? You could fly to London from Toulouse, couldn't you?
Of course I could, but I think that is just what they are expecting me to do. I don't want them to know where I am. Barcelona is better.
Okay, Dad, if you say so.
We stopped talking for a while. Soon afterwards, the towers and medieval walls of Carcassonne appeared in the distance. It looked like Disneyland. The kilometers sped by, and we were soon turning south, heading for Perpignan and the Spanish border. Isn't it strange the way these motorways have changed the way we think about things?
How do you mean, Dad?
Well, before motorways, roads were sort of natural. They grew out of the shape of the country. The shape of the roads fitted the shape of the valleys and hillsides. Motorways just cut holes through the countryside. If you want to get from A to B, you just draw a line on a map and then build a road through. So when we travel on these roads, we don't look at the landscape, or not in the same way as before. It's all speed. Everything has to be immediate, instant. Instant noodles, instant coffee. There's no time for quiet thinking or enjoyment. I remember driving down from Paris to the Mediterranean coast with your mother, over 30 years ago. It took us 3 whole days. Now you can do it in 1. There was an uncomfortable silence.
Dad, can I ask you something?
Of course you can. What about?
Well, it's always bothered me, but I never found the right time to ask you before. What exactly happened between you and Mum? Why did you split up? I could never understand.
It's difficult to explain. I suppose we reached the point where we disagreed about almost everything. She didn't like my lifestyle, all those unexplained absences, the long trips away from home. I had no real friends. Friends didn't go with my kind of job. And I couldn't stand her friends. She wanted a life where everything was in its place. Everything was certain. Everything was safe and respectable. A nice house, a nice garden, a nice car, a nice husband wearing a nice suit and tie. She should have married a bank manager, but she got me instead.
But you stayed together for so long, Dad. Nearly 10 years.
I know, but you get into the habit of living with someone. So, in a way, it's more comfortable to continue with the habit than to break it. It's a mixture of being lazy and weak. Then, one day, you wake up. You look at this person who you thought you knew so well, and you simply can't recognize them anymore. I think that's what happened.
I was so unhappy all that time we lived in Paris, Dad. There was always so much tension in the air. Then, after it was over, all those tears. I remember those weekends we spent together, you and me. You didn't really know how to pass the time. You tried so hard to make me enjoy myself. All those trips to cinemas in Paris, to places you thought I'd like, the Luxembourg Gardens, the zoo. But that made it feel even worse. I couldn't wait to get back to Mum again. But then, the moment I got back, I felt miserable with her too. Because when I was with her, I missed you so much.
I wish I hadn't hurt you like that. You were the main reason I waited so long before. But in the end, I had to do it. There's no point in worrying about it now. It's past history. At least you learnt how to look after yourself, how to be independent.
Thanks for nothing,
she said, with a bitter grin. The motorway climbed steeply into the Pyrenees towards the border. Luckily, customs hardly bother to check cars these days. We are all Europeans now. They only do random checks, mainly on long-distance lorries. Annie was waved through, and we were suddenly in Spain, rolling down towards Barcelona. We checked into a small hotel in the old town, and I left Annie to rest while I went to a travel agent. I was in luck. There were seats on a morning flight to London the next day. I paid cash. That evening, I took Annie to one of my favourite restaurants in the tangled web of narrow streets off the Ramblas. As we ate and talked, I think we both sensed that it might be a long time before we would enjoy each other's company like this again. But for the first time in years, I felt close to my daughter. It was a rare and special moment.